Mommy, please don't go.
Oh, baby. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, beautiful.
The moment I entered Soo-jin's life, I was already walking out of it. I can't do this anymore. The words tore from my throat before I understood why I was saying them. My hand closed around the front door handle. Car keys dug into my palm. Rain hammered against the windows, hard enough to blur the lights beyond the glass. Soo-jin, wait. The man's voice came from behind me. Deep. Controlled. But underneath the control was something dangerously close to fear. I turned. A tall Korean man stood several feet away, dressed in black, holding a crying baby against his chest. The infant's face was red, his small fists opening and closing against the man's shirt. A little girl was wrapped around my legs. Not standing near me. Holding on to me. Her thin arms locked around my knees as though she believed she could keep me there through sheer determination. At the bottom of the staircase stood a teenage boy in a soccer uniform. His shoulders were rigid, but tears filled his eyes. None of them looked familiar. Yet all three children were staring at me as if I were the center of their world.
Mommy, please don't go.
Oh, baby. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, beautiful.
The little girl sobbed. The keys slipped from my hand. They struck the marble floor with a sharp metallic sound. Something inside me broke. I dropped to my knees. Oh, baby. The words left me on a breath. I pulled the little girl into my arms, holding her so tightly that her feet lifted from the floor. She buried her face against my neck and cried with the kind of desperation no child should ever feel. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry, beautiful. Her fingers tightened in my hair. I'll be good, she cried. I promise. My heart shattered. No. I pulled back far enough to look into her face. You didn't do anything wrong. Do you hear me? None of this is your fault. She searched my eyes as if she needed to know whether she could believe me. I will never leave you, I said. Never. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know where I was. Welcome back, friends, to the forbidden love tale of Danielle and Soo-jin. We're glad that you're here. Now, if you're here for the first time, second time, or even the third time and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button and notification bell and become a part of our growing family. By doing so, you're helping us reach our 1,000 subscribers goal. Okay, let's get back to it. The reflection in the glass beside the door showed my face, but my voice and language was that of a Korean woman instead of my own. But I knew what it felt like to want a child. I knew what it felt like to grieve children I would never have. And I knew I could not walk away while one clung to me and begged me to stay. I lifted the little girl into my arms and carried her toward the staircase. The teenage boy watched me approach. His face had gone carefully blank, but his eyes betrayed him. He was trying not to cry, trying to be strong, trying to behave as though watching his mother leave had not terrified him. I stopped in front of him. I'm sorry, I said. His jaw tightened. I reached for him slowly, giving him time to pull away. He didn't. The moment my arm went around his shoulders, his entire body stiffened. For one terrible second, I thought he would reject me. Then his arms closed around my waist. Hard. His face pressed against my shoulder, and the breath he released sounded broken. I held both children against me. I'm sorry, I whispered again and again. I'm so sorry. I kissed the little girl's wet cheeks. Then I turned and pressed kisses against the teenage boy's forehead, his temple, anywhere I could reach while he tried to hide his tears. The baby had stopped crying. The man in black stood motionless, holding him carefully against his chest. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes never left my face. I looked at the infant. He was too young to understand what had almost happened. Too young to remember his mother standing at the door with her keys in her hand. But the older children would remember. They would remember the rain, the suitcase beside the door, the sound of the keys striking the floor, They would remember begging their mother not to leave, and they would remember whether she stayed. I tightened my arms around them. I'm not going anywhere, I promised. The teenage boy's grip tightened. The little girl buried her face against my neck. And as I stood there in a stranger's home, surrounded by children who believed I was their mother, one truth settled into my heart with frightening certainty. Whatever had brought me into Soo-jin's life had not placed me there by accident. I did not release the children. Not when Ha-eun's crying finally softened into small, uneven breaths. Not when Min-jun tried to straighten his shoulders and pretend he had not been terrified. Not even when the baby began reaching toward me from Ji-tae's arms. I'm sorry, I kept whispering. I'm so sorry. The apology no longer felt large enough. Ha-eun remained wrapped around my neck, her damp cheek pressed against mine. Min-jun stood close enough that his arm brushed my shoulder, but uncertainty still lingered in his eyes. I reached for his hand. None of you are sleeping alone tonight. His gaze lifted to mine. What? We're staying together. I squeezed his fingers. You, Ha-eun, the baby, and me. We'll all sleep in my room. Min-jun glanced toward Ji-tae as though waiting for him to object. Ji-tae said nothing. He stood several feet away with Seo-yoon against his chest, watching me with an intensity that made me uneasy. Min-jun looked back at me. I'm too old to sleep with you, Mom. The slight crack in his voice betrayed him. I touched his face. You're not too old to need your mother. His lips pressed together. And tonight, I continued, I need you too. Something in his expression gave way. He nodded once. Later, I lay in the center of an enormous bed that did not feel like mine. Min-jun was on my right, turned toward me despite the distance he had initially tried to maintain. Ha-eun was curled also against my right side, one small hand gripping the fabric of my nightgown. Seo-yoon slept on my chest, his tiny body warm and heavy, his breathing soft against my skin. I remained awake beneath all three of them. I was afraid that if I closed my eyes, I would wake somewhere else. Or worse, they would wake and believe I had left after all. The bedroom door opened quietly. Ji-tae stood in the doorway. He had removed his jacket, but he was still dressed in black. Without the crying baby in his arms, he appeared larger somehow, more dangerous. His eyes moved across the bed. First to Min-jun, then Ha-eun, then the infant resting over my heart. Finally, he looked at me. Soo-jin. Min-jun stirred beside me. I immediately lifted a finger to my lips. Ji-tae lowered his voice. May we speak? No. The word came without hesitation. Ji-tae went completely still. Even Min-jun's eyes opened at that. I softened my tone, but not my answer. Tomorrow, when the children are at school and Seo-yoon is settled. Ji-tae stared at me. There was no anger in his face. Only disbelief. I shifted one arm around Ha-eun and rested my other hand protectively over the baby's back. Tonight they need me. I need to understand what happened. And they need to know their mother is still here. His jaw tightened. We cannot leave this until tomorrow. Yes, we can. The silence that followed felt heavier than the storm outside. Min-jun watched his father carefully from beside me. Ha-eun's fingers tightened around my nightgown without opening her eyes. Ji-tae noticed both reactions. His expression changed. Not softened exactly, but something inside it fractured. Tomorrow, I repeated. After the children leave for school. For several seconds he did not move. Then he gave a slow nod. Tomorrow. He stepped back and quietly closed the door. Min-jun continued staring at it. Mom? Yes? You told him no. The surprise in his voice made me turn toward him. Am I not allowed to? He blinked. You've never told Dad no before. A chill moved through me, not because of what he said, because of how quietly he said it, as though this family had learned to arrange itself around Ji-tae's wishes. I brushed the hair away from Min-jun's forehead. Then perhaps I should have started sooner. His eyes searched the unfamiliar woman he believed was his mother. After a moment, He moved closer and rested his head against my shoulder. I held him while Seo-yoon slept over my heart and Ha-eun clung to my side. Beyond the closed bedroom door, Ji-tae remained in the hallway. I could feel his presence there, silent, watching, trying to understand how the wife who had never refused him had walked away from their confrontation and chosen the children instead.
The white room began to brighten. His voice followed me as the walls dissolved.
You are returning to the moment before Danielle walked out.
The floor disappeared beneath my feet. Then I was falling. I opened my eyes with the phone clutched in my hand. Rain battered the windows. My breathing was ragged. The screen showed months of messages between Todd and another woman. Hotel reservations, photographs, late-night confessions, plans for tomorrow. Danielle! I looked up. Todd stood several feet away. His shirt sleeves were rolled to his forearms. His tie was gone. He looked exhausted and guilty. His eyes moved immediately to the phone. You saw them. It was not a question. Yes. He exhaled slowly. Let me explain. You are sleeping with another woman. His jaw tightened. Yes. There was something oddly refreshing about the admission. No coded language, no denial. Ji-tae would have buried an entire conversation beneath silence before admitting weakness. I placed the phone on the counter. How long? 4 months. Do you love her? No. Do you intend to leave me for her? No. Then what do you want? Todd stared at me. What? This is clearly not about replacing your wife. So what do you want? He dragged a hand over his face. We haven't been happy for a long time. That does not answer the question. I know. So answer it. His expression hardened slightly. I don't want a divorce. Yet you want other women. Silence. I remembered what the man in white had told me. There was no reason to make Todd struggle toward words I already knew. You want an open marriage. His head snapped up. What? You want to remain married while seeing other people. Todd stared at me. That isn't that what you suggested before? His expression changed. That was enough. I almost smiled. Fine. He blinked. Fine? Yes? His brows pulled together. I agree. To what? The open marriage. Todd stared at me as though I had spoken another language. No. Now it was my turn to blink. No? No. I tilted my head. You proposed it. I brought it up. That is generally what proposing something means. I was trying to have a conversation. And now we're having it. You said you agree. Yes. His jaw tightened. Why? I almost laughed. Why does that matter? Because 2 days ago, you said you could never live like that. I changed my mind. That quickly? Yes? No. There was something almost offended in the way he said it. I folded my arms. You are confusing me, Todd. I am confusing you. You wanted permission to sleep with other women. That is not how I said it. But that is what it meant. His nostrils flared. I said maybe we needed to rethink what marriage looked like for us. Excellent, I have reconsidered. That doesn't mean you start sleeping with other men. I stared at him. There it was. I could not stop the laugh that escaped me. Todd's expression darkened. What is funny? You. Danielle. You wanted an open marriage until you realized I would also be participating. That's not true. Then tell me what part bothers you. He did not answer. I stepped closer. You can have another woman, but the thought of your wife with another man makes you uncomfortable. It is not the same. Why? It just isn't. My smile disappeared. Interesting. Do not do that. Do what? Turn everything into some accusation. I do not need to accuse you. Your phone has already presented the evidence. Todd looked away. I watched him for a moment. Then everything became obvious. You never wanted an open marriage. His eyes returned to mine. You wanted permission. That is not fair. You wanted me to agree not to punish you for sleeping with other women. No. But you never imagined me doing the same. His silence stretched too long. I nodded slowly. I understand now. You don't understand anything. I understand perfectly. I moved toward the kitchen island and rested my hands against the marble. You wanted a loyal wife waiting at home while you enjoyed freedom outside the marriage. That is not what I wanted. Then say it. Todd's jaw clenched. I waited. Finally, he said, I don't want another man touching my wife. There it was. Simple, possessive, honest. I turned fully toward him. But another woman touching my husband is acceptable. His face tightened. I know what I did was wrong. Yet here we are discussing how I am apparently forbidden from doing exactly what you have already done. I'm not forbidding you. You just said no. Because you're angry. I am surprisingly calm. That worries me more. I almost smiled. Perhaps he was more perceptive than I thought. Todd stepped closer. Danielle, I brought up opening the marriage because I thought maybe it would take pressure off us. Pressure off whom? Both of us. But when I accept, suddenly you don't want it. I didn't think you actually wanted another man. And that made the idea easier for you. He said nothing. I nodded. So it was only safe as long as you believed I would remain faithful. That isn't what I said. It is what you meant. Todd turned away and rubbed the back of his neck. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. At least that is honest. He looked back at me. You're really telling me you'd be okay watching me leave this house to see another woman? I would not watch you. His expression hardened. I would be busy. Doing what? Whatever I pleased. His eyes narrowed. With someone else? If I wished? No. The answer came instantly. I laughed again. Todd looked furious now. You keep laughing like this is funny. It is not funny. It is absurd. What is? That a man can commit adultery for 4 months and still somehow feel entitled to jealousy. His face went still. I continued. You do not get to break the rules and then become offended when I stop respecting them. He looked at me for several seconds. Then his voice lowered. I don't want an open marriage. I tilted my head. Now? I don't think I ever actually did. Then why did you suggest it? His eyes fell. Because I wanted a way to justify what I was already doing. That answer surprised me. For the first time that evening, I said nothing. Todd continued. I told myself if we changed the rules, then maybe what I had done wouldn't feel like betrayal anymore. But I said no. Yes? And you continued the affair anyway. His face tightened. Yes. I absorbed that, then nodded. Good. He frowned. Good? Now we are finally speaking truthfully. I walked past him toward the foyer. His body tensed immediately. Where are you going? Upstairs. He looked toward the front door. You aren't leaving? No. Relief moved across his face so visibly that I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. I have another condition. His relief vanished. What condition? I am quitting my job. Todd stared at me. No. I smiled. Another no? You are not quitting your career because you're furious with me. I'm not quitting because I'm furious. You love your job. Danielle does. The word slipped out again. Todd went very still. What did you say? I corrected myself. I did. Perhaps I don't anymore. You work too hard for that career. And you work more than enough for both of us. You cannot just decide you're never working again. Of course I can. We have a mortgage, investments, expenses. You are a successful attorney. That doesn't mean money is unlimited. I did not request unlimited money. What exactly are you asking for? I thought about it, then smiled. Peace. He stared at me. I wake when I want. I travel when I want. I spend my days however I choose. That isn't a life. I raised an eyebrow. Men call it retirement. You're 34. Then I am retiring early. Despite everything, Todd looked momentarily speechless. I stepped closer. You wanted freedom from the expectations of marriage. I already told you I don't want an open marriage. Good. I nodded. Then end the affair. His expression changed. Completely? I stared at him. You just spent 10 minutes telling me you cannot tolerate another man touching your wife. Todd said nothing. So if you want monogamy, I continued, then practice it. And your job? I quit. Danielle, that part is not negotiable. You cannot expect me to agree to that. I do not require your agreement. His eyes narrowed. This isn't you. The words struck differently this time. I looked at him. He stepped closer, studying my face. You were ready to walk out that door 10 minutes ago. Now you're standing here, calmly negotiating your retirement. People change. Not this fast. I smiled faintly. You would be surprised. Then I picked up the car keys from the table. Todd's body immediately stiffened. I thought you said you weren't leaving. I am not. I placed them back down. The tiny metallic sound echoed through the foyer. I am going upstairs. Todd looked from the keys to me. What happens tomorrow? I started toward the staircase. Tomorrow you end your affair. And then? I stopped on the first step. Then I decide whether this marriage deserves to survive. His expression tightened. That decision belongs to both of us. I looked back at him. No, Todd. My voice remained calm. You already made your decision 4 months ago. I continued upstairs. Behind me, the house remained quiet. No screaming, no slammed door, no rain soaking through Danielle's clothes, no car pulling out into the storm. This time, Danielle Carter did not walk away. And Todd Carter was beginning to realize that might be far more frightening.
Okay, friends, that's it for part 2 of the forbidden love tale of Danielle and Soo-jin. We hope you're enjoying it. We will resume and conclude Michael and Minji love journey in the upcoming days. Thank you for your patience. Now, if you're here for the first time, second time, or even the third time, and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button and notification bell and become a part of our growing family. By doing so, you're helping us reach our 1,000 subscribers goal. Tell us your favorite part, and where are you watching from? We want to know how far our stories are reaching. We read and respond to each and every one of your comments. Thank you.